Welcome to Pastor Andrew's Inspirations. If you enjoy these videos, please click on the red subscribe button below and the bell for more. Welcome to our online church, a congregation made up of many from around the world. No offering is necessary. Subscribing and watching videos will keep us alive under God's watchful eyes. Today we will be learning about the ancient city of Jaffa. Jaffa, in Hebrew Yafo, in Arabic Yafa, also called Japho or Joppa. The southern and oldest part of Tel Aviv-Yafo, an ancient port city in Israel. Jaffa is known for its association with the biblical stories of Jonah, Solomon, St. Peter, and the mythological story of Andromeda and Perseus, later for its oranges. Today, Jaffa is one of Israel's mixed cities, 37% of the city being Arab. The town was mentioned in Egyptian sources and the Amarna letters as Yapu. It is named for Japheth, one of the sons of Noah, the one who built it after the flood. The name links to Iopeia, or Cassiopeia, mother of Andromeda. An outcropping of rocks near the harbor is where Andromeda was rescued by Perseus. Pliny the Elder associated the name with Iopa, daughter of Aeolus, god of the wind. Ancient Jaffa was built on a 130-foot high ridge. It had a broad view of the coastline. It had strategic importance in military history. The Tel of Jaffa, through the accumulation of debris and landfill over the centuries, made the hill even higher. Jaffa is mentioned 4 times in the Hebrew Bible. As a city, opposite the territory given to the Hebrew tribe of Dan in Joshua chapter 19. As port of entry for the cedars of Lebanon for Solomon's temple in 2 Corinthians chapter 2. As the place whence the prophet Jonah embarked for Tarshish in Jonah chapter 1. And as port of entry for the cedars of Lebanon for the second temple of Jerusalem in Ezra chapter 3. Jaffa is mentioned in the book of Joshua as the territorial border of the tribe of Dan. Gush Dan is the modern term for the center of the coastal plain. The tribe of Dan did not manage to dislocate the Philistines from Jaffa. After Canaanite and Philistine dominion, King David and his son King Solomon conquered Jaffa. They used its port to bring the cedars used in the construction of the first temple from Tyre. Following the death of Solomon, Jaffa returned to Philistine control. Neo-Assyrian Emperor Sennacherib recorded conquering Jaffa from its sovereign, the Philistine king of Ashkelon. The New Testament account of St. Peter bringing back to life the widow Dorcas, recorded in Acts of the Apostles chapter 9, takes place in Jaffa, then called in Greek Joppa. Acts chapter 10 reads, while Peter was in Jaffa, he had a vision of a large sheet filled with clean and unclean animals, being lowered from heaven, together with a message from the Holy Spirit, telling him to accompany several messengers to Cornelius in Caesarea Maritima. Peter retells the story of his vision in Acts chapter 11, verses 4 to 17, explaining how he had come to preach Christianity to the Gentiles. In Midrash Tanaim, in Deuteronomy chapter 33, reference is made to Jose ben Halafta traveling through Jaffa. Jaffa seems to have attracted serious Jewish scholars in the 4th and 5th century. The Jerusalem Talmud, compiled 4th and 5th century in Mod Katan, references Rabbi Akka bar Kanina of Jaffa. Pesachim chapter 1 refers to Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair of Jaffa. The Babylonian Talmud, compiled 5th century in Megillah 16, mentions Rav Adam Demin of Jaffa. Leviticus Rabbah, compiled between 5th and 7th century, mentions Rav Nachman of Jaffa. The Pasikta Rabbati, written in the 9th century, in chapter 17, mentions Ar Tanchum of Jaffa. Several streets and alleys of Jaffa flea market area are named after these scholars. During the first centuries of Christianity, Jaffa was a fairly unimportant Roman and Byzantine locality. In the 5th century, Jaffa became a bishopric. A very small number of its Greek or Latin bishops are known. According to the 1922 census of Palestine, conducted by the British Mandate authorities, Jaffa had a population of 47,799, consisting of 20,699 Muslims, 20,152 Jewish, and 6,850 Christians. Increasing to 51,866 in the 1931 census, residing in 11,304 houses. During the British Mandate, tension between the Jewish and the Arab population increased. The Jaffa riots in 1921 began with a May Day parade that turned violent. The Hebrew author Yosef Haim Brenner was killed in the riots. At the end of 1922, Tel Aviv had 15,000 residents. By 1927, the population had risen to 38,000. In 1945, Jaffa had a population of 94,310, of whom 50,880 were Muslims, 28,000 were Jewish, 15,400 were Christians, and 30 were classified as other. The Christians were mostly Greek Orthodox, and about 1/6 of them were members of the Eastern Catholic churches. One of the most prominent members of the Arab Christian community was the Greek Orthodox Issa Elisa, publisher of the newspaper Palestine. At the beginning of the 1948 year, Jaffa's defenders consisted of one company of around 400 men organized by the Muslim Brotherhood. As in Haifa, the irregulars intimidated the local population. The boundaries of Jaffa became a matter of contention between the Tel Aviv municipality and the Israeli government during 1948. Tel Aviv wished to incorporate only the northern Jewish suburbs of Jaffa, while the latter wanted a more complete unification. The issue also had international sensitivity, since the main part of Jaffa was in the Arab portion of the United Nations partition plan. On the 10th of December 1948, the government announced the annexation to Tel Aviv of Jaffa's Jewish suburbs, the Arab neighborhood of Abu Kabir, the Arab village of Salama, and some of its agricultural land, and the working-class Jewish area of Hatikva. On the 25th of February 1949, the depopulated Arab village of Sheikh Mouanis, on the opposite side of Tel Aviv from Jaffa, was also annexed to Tel Aviv. On the 18th of May 1949, the Arab neighborhood of Manshia and part of Jaffa's central zone were added, for the first time, including land that had been in Arab portion of the UN partition plan. The government decided on a permanent unification of Tel Aviv and Jaffa on the 4th of October 1949. The name of the unified city was Tel Aviv until the 19th of August 1950, when it was named as Tel Aviv-Yafo, in order to preserve the historical name Jaffa. From the 1990s onwards, efforts have been made to restore Arab and Islamic landmarks, also to document the history of Jaffa's Arab population. Parts of the old city have been renovated, turning Jaffa into a tourist attraction, featuring old, restored buildings, art galleries, theaters, souvenir shops, restaurants, sidewalk cafes, and promenades. Many artists have moved their studios from Tel Aviv to the old city and its surroundings, such as the Jaffa port and the American Germany colony and the flea market. Real estate prices have risen sharply due to projects in Ajami, Noga, and Lev Yafo. The municipality of Tel Aviv-Yafo is currently working to beautify and modernize the port area. In the 19th century, Jaffa was best known for its soap industry. Modern industry emerged in the late 1880s. The most successful enterprises were metalworking factories. Other factories produced orange crates, barrels, corks, noodles, ice, seltzer, candy, soap, olive oil, leather, alkali, wine, cosmetics, and ink. Most of the newspapers and books printed in Ottoman Palestine were published in Jaffa. In 1859, a Jewish visitor, L.A. Frankel, found 65 Jewish families living in Jaffa, about 400 soul in all. Of these, 4 were shoemakers, 3 tailors, 1 silversmith, and 1 watchmaker. There were also merchants and shopkeepers, and many lived by manual labor, porters, sailors, messengers, etc. Jaffa's orange groves were mainly owned by Arabs, who employed traditional methods of farming. The pioneers of modern agriculture in Jaffa were American settlers who brought in farm machinery in the 1850s and 1860s, followed by the Templars and the Jews. From the 1880s, real estate became an important branch of economy. The Biara, a watered garden, cost 100,000 piastres and annually produced 15,000, of which the farming costs were 5,000. Water for the gardens was easily accessible, with wells between 10 and 40 feet deep. Jaffa's citrus industry began to flourish in the last quarter of the 19th century. E.C. Miller recorded that about 10 million oranges were being exported annually. The town was surrounded by 300 or 400 orange gardens, each containing upwards of 1,000 trees. Shamudi oranges were the major crop, but citrons, lemons, and mandarin oranges are also grown, some of which you might find in your dollar store cans for mandarin oranges. Jaffa had a reputation for producing the best pomegranates. Modern Jaffa has a heterogeneous population of Jewish, Christians, and Muslims. Jaffa currently has 46,000 residents, of whom 30,000 are Jewish and 16,000 are Arabs. Tabitha School in Jaffa was founded in 1863. It is owned by the Church of Scotland. The school provides education in English to children from Christian, Jewish, and Muslim backgrounds. The clock square, with its distinctive clock tower, was built in 1906 in honor of Sultan Abdul Hamid II. The Governor's Place was built in the 1890s. Andromeda Rock is the rock to which beautiful Andromeda was chained in Greek mythology. The Zodiac Alleys are a maze of restored alleys leading to the harbor. Joppa Hill is a center for archaeological finds, including restored Egyptian gates about 3,500 years old. Jaffa Lighthouse is an inactive lighthouse located in the old port. The Jaffa Museum of Antiquities is located in an 18th century Ottoman building constructed on the remains of a Crusader fortress. A wealthy Greek Orthodox family established a soap factory there. Since 1961, it has housed an archaeological museum, which is currently closed to the general public. The Libyan synagogue was a synagogue built by a Jewish landlord, Zunani, in the 18th century. It was turned into a hotel and then a soap factory, and reopened as a synagogue for Libyan Jewish immigrants after 1948. In 1995, it became a museum. Other museums and galleries in the area include the Farkash Gallery Collection. The Greek Orthodox Monastery of Archangel Michael near Jaffa Port also has Romanian and Russian communities in its compound. Built in 1894, the Church of St. Peter and St. Tabitha serves the Russian Orthodox Christian community, with services in Russian and Hebrew. Nearby is what is believed to be the tomb of St. Tabitha. St. Peter's Church is a Franciscan Roman Catholic basilica and hospice built in 1654 on the remains of another Crusader fortress. It commemorates St. Peter as he brought the disciple Tabitha back from the dead. Napoleon is believed to have stayed there. Emmanuel Church, built in 1904, serves today a Lutheran congregation with services in English and Hebrew. The St. Nicholas Armenian Monastery was built in the 17th century. The Sea Mosque, overlooking the harbor, is depicted in a painting from 1675 by the Dutch painter Cornelis de Bruijn. It may be Jaffa's oldest existing mosque, built originally in 1675. It was used by fishermen and sailors frequenting the port and residents of the surrounding area. According to the local legend, the wives of the sailors living in Jaffa prayed there for the safe return of their husband. Mahmudiya Mosque was built in 1812 by Abu Nabut, governor of Jaffa from 1810 to 1820. Outside the mosque is a water fountain for pilgrims. Noza Mosque is Jaffa's main mosque today. The majority of excavations in Jaffa are salvage in nature and are conducted by the Israel Antiquities Authority since the 1990s. Excavations in the flea market have revealed walls and water conduits dating to the Iron Age, Hellenistic, early Islamic, Crusader, and Ottoman periods. A limestone slab engraved with a menorah is believed to be the door of a tomb. In December 2020, archaeologists from the Antiquities Authority revealed a 3,800-year-old jar containing the badly preserved remains of a baby from the Middle Bronze Age. There is always the interpretation that the jar is almost like a womb. So basically the idea is to return the baby back into Mother Earth, or into the symbolic protection of his mother, said archaeologist Alfredo Medeiros Martin. Researchers also covered the remains of at least 2 horses and pottery dated to the late Ottoman Empire, 232 seashells, 30 Hellenistic coins, 95 glass vessel fragments from the Roman and Crusader periods, 14th, 5th century BC. Rock-carved burials featuring lamps. Jaffa is served by the Dan Bus Company. It operates buses to various neighborhoods of Tel Aviv and Bat Yam. The red line of the planned Tel Aviv light rail will cross Jaffa north to south. Jaffa Railway Station was the first railway station in the Middle East. It served as the terminus for the Jaffa-Jerusalem Railway. The station opened in 1891 and closed in 1948. The station was restored and converted into an entertainment and leisure venue, marketed as Hatachana, which is Hebrew for the station. Tel Aviv Hahagana, Holland Junction, and Holland Wolfson railway stations are the stations along the Israel Railways network that are located in the vicinity of Jaffa, along its eastern boundary. The Night of Jaffa is the second episode of the Doctor Who story, The Crusade, set in Palestine during the Third Crusade. Clash of the Titans is set in ancient Joppa. The 2009 Oscar-nominated film, A Jamie, is set in modern Jaffa. And as of recently, the Stargate space series is based loosely on Jaffa and the beliefs of the old world. Notable residents are Israeli Arab journalist Asma Agbareh, Palestinian plastic artist Hanan Al-Agha, Nobel Prize winning author Shmuel Yosef Agnon. radio broadcaster and author Don Ben Amatz. Historian, labor Zionist leader and president of Israel, Yitzhak Ben Zvi. TV evangelist and preacher Benny Hinn. One of the founders of Tel Aviv, businessman Yosef Eliyahu Shalush. The sculptor and writer Joseph Constant. Palestinian-American philosopher Ismail al-Farouki. Israeli founder and fashion designer of Gotex, Leigh Gottlieb. Arab-Israeli filmmaker and member of the Knesset, Ibtissam Marana. Palestinian-born American cryptologist, Victor Norris Hamilton. Author, photographer, and canon of St. George's Church, J.E. Hanauer. Arab journalists, Isa, Daoud, Yosef, and Raja El Isa. Mathematical statistician, Michael Loeb. Canadian actor, Sacha Roys. Israeli basketball players, Haim Hazan, Pinas Hozez, Yov Safar, and Haim Starkman. Arab-Israeli politicians, Nadia Hillel, Yizar Harari, Haim Ramon, and Yosef Sapir. And Arab-Israeli football player and manager and deputy mayor of Tel Aviv, Rafat Turk. This was the ancient city of Jaffa. Adonai Nisi, the Lord is our banner. Remember, if you like these videos, please click the red subscribe button below and click the bell for notifications. God's blessings be upon this message and us all.